for coming today to discuss this topic that is so personal and critical to so many Missouri families. Many Missourians are dealing with the fear, confusion, and frustration of the foreclosure of their homes and trying to understand the process and the paperwork that is involved. People are seeing reports on the nightly news about shoddy and possibly even wrong foreclosure paperwork being used by loan servicers. You can imagine the bewilderment at the prospect of losing one's home to an institution that may or may not even own the mortgage. When a giant institution like Bank of America throws the brakes on its own foreclosure department, consumers are justified in asking what the heck is going on. Just since early October, my office has received nearly 100 formal complaints by people anticipating or involved in foreclosures. These are people trying to obtain a federal workout with their lending institution in order to stay in their own homes. Some of those trying to obtain a modification were told by their banks not to bother seeking a modification until they were at least 3 months behind in their payments. Almost all of the callers have complained that loan servicers are telling them to send large amounts of documentation to the servicer, which these callers claim that they have in fact done, only to be later told that the servicer now cannot find their documentation and the consumer has to send it all over again. And then the process repeats itself. Many Missourians are frustrated and angry at sloppy loan servicing practices that seem to be compounding the mortgage crisis in the state of Missouri. In testimony before Congress last week, Professor Catherine Porter, a law professor from the University of Iowa and an authority on mortgage servicers, said it was likely that a very large number, perhaps virtually all, securitized loans made during the boom period in the mid-2000s contained serious paperwork flaws, did not meet underwriting standards, or have not been serviced properly in foreclosure proceedings. As you know, all 50 attorney generals across America have joined forces to investigate potential wrongdoing by loan servicers and possible illegal practices within the industry, such as robo-signing and undocumented foreclosures. If illegalities are found, our group will seek meaningful remedies against wrongdoers, such as widespread procedural reforms and systematic loan modifications. The 50-state group is headed by Attorney General Tom Miller of the state of Iowa, who has a great deal of experience in this area and has led similar coalitions against subprime lenders First Alliance and AmeriQuest earlier in this decade. However, this investigation is enormous in scope, and the process is likely to take time. That is why the Missouri Attorney General's Office is moving forward today with a set of immediate tools to provide help and information to Missourians facing home foreclosure. Missouri has a challenge that some states don't have. We are what is known as a non-judicial foreclosure state. This term, non-judicial foreclosure, means that under Missouri law, banks are not normally required to provide the same level of detailed documentation of mortgage loans before a foreclosure actually takes place. Foreclosures in Missouri do not typically occur under a judge's supervision, but rather occur on the front steps of the courthouse. Because of this, Missourians particularly may have questions as to whether loan servicing organizations are treating them fairly, and whether these servicing organizations actually possess the necessary paperwork to foreclose their home. Our goal today is to help Missourians wade through this confusing foreclosure process and the complex paperwork that is involved. Beginning today, Missourians facing foreclosure can go to the Attorney General's website at ago.mo.gov to find information that will help them understand their rights, as well as the legal obligations of the banks and other entities involved. The site contains a toolbox of information, including frequently asked questions about foreclosure and definitions of important terms. More importantly, the site provides homeowners with a list of the most important documents that they have a right to obtain from their loan servicing provider as part of any foreclosure. The information about these critical documents is not widely understood by homeowners, but it is extremely important to ensure that a foreclosure is in fact proper. To make it easier for consumers to obtain these documents from their lenders, they are owed from their loan servicing provider, we are offering Missourians a form letter requesting these important documents in a correct manner and in accordance with federal law. Consumers need only fill out this letter and send it in to their servicing provider to obtain the most important historic documentation related to their mortgage foreclosures. This documentation will show the payment history of their loan, the past assignments of their loan, and most importantly, the present ownership of their loan. I need to note that even with these new tools, foreclosure remains a complex area of the law, and we strongly encourage people in foreclosure or attempting to modify their loan to seek legal counsel or the assistance of a governmental certified housing counselor. While the Attorney General cannot act as a citizen's private lawyer, we very much hope that these tools, particularly this form letter, will better arm citizens during this important and confusing period.